So, this week I'm gonna be off in Scotland, which means I won't be able to make any videos. So if some huge news comes out in the following days, sorry, I won't talk about it. But instead of just leaving and going without a video for 2 weeks, I thought, why not review two films that I've gotten quite a few requests to talk about. It and Blade Runner 2049. No spoilers here, unless I explicitly mention it, and if you've come here for my thoughts on just one of these, there are time codes down in the description. Alright, let's get into this. So let's start off with Blade Runner 2049.
Bring it to me. They know you're here.
I was pretty excited for this. I watched the first one in preparation, and yeah, it's really good. Visually great, most of the performances are good, I like the world, and the story was good, if not a bit confusing at times. I probably have to watch it a few more times to really get it. And how does the sequel stack up to that? I'd personally say it's even better. I know, that might be blasphemy to some diehard Blade Runner fans, but I was blown away by this film. Really, everything you can think of, this movie does well. Or not well, but brilliantly. I'll just say it. This might be the most visually beautiful film I've ever seen. It is gorgeous. The cinematography, the colors, the effects, everything. Most of the shots in this film look like they could be printed off and put in some art gallery. It is that genuinely stunning. Major props to Denis Villeneuve, which I'm assuming I'm pronouncing 100% correctly. Anyway, main takeaway, see this on the biggest screen possible. The music from the first one is so iconic, and this is just as good. This unique, very futuristic feeling score that you can feel actually resonate in your body. It's just perfect. The performances are also top-notch. Ryan Gosling has been on a bit of a roll recently. His last 3 films, I'd all give between a 9 and a 10, and he's fantastic here. He has a lot of scenes where he has to convey tons of complex emotions just through his face, and he does it flawlessly. That actually goes for a lot of the actors here. Harrison Ford, after this and Star Wars, I'm starting to think maybe he can actually pull off Indiana Jones again. He's great. I didn't mind Jared Leto, I know people hate him now, but I thought he was pretty good. Batista's great, Wright's great, everyone's great. Although, I feel like I should point this out, and this is a minor spoiler warning if you don't want to know anything going in. Skip ahead just about 10 seconds. If you're going into this expecting the Harrison Ford Jared Leto show, you will be disappointed. They both weren't in it as much as I thought they'd be, but that didn't bother me, because it worked perfectly with the story. Speaking of which, the story is also really good here. For most of it, you can follow it, even though it has a lot of layers to it. It's very clever and has some good twists that I actually didn't see coming, which was refreshing after a year of seeing a lot of films that I found kind of predictable. And even though it has potential to, at no point did this feel really pretentious to me. Maybe the thing I loved the most about this movie is the world. The first Blade Runner set up this really cool future world, and this expands on it in such an amazing way. Not only the visuals, but just all the technology, with all this attention to detail. It feels so real, and like such a natural progression from where the last film left off. This is how this tech would evolve, and just the tiniest little visual details or sound effects make this world feel so alive. A lot of that also has to do with Ryan Gosling's girlfriend in this, who was amazing. Also, if you're worried that you won't be able to follow this if you haven't seen the first film, don't be. This pretty much stands alone from the first movie. It gives you a little recap at the start, so you know what's happening, and then it really tells a different story in that world. Sure, it definitely helps if you've seen the first one. It'll enhance your experience by quite a bit, but if you're just going in fresh, this still works as a great sci-fi film. And again, I think a lot of that has to do with this meticulously crafted, phenomenal world they've built. If I had any complaints with this, I'd say it is really, really long, but that's not really a bad thing, because to me at least, every scene felt purposeful and was interesting. I'm just saying, if you're expecting the brisk pace of, say, a Marvel film, yeah, no, this is a slower ride. Also, while it's still great, the third act was probably my least favorite part of the film. Maybe it's because I saw this at like midnight, and I was just a bit tired at that point, but it started to get a little confusing. No spoilers, but there's one scene in particular where I was like, oh, so this person is this thing, not this other thing. Okay, was I even supposed to think that original thing? Like the first one, maybe I need to watch it again to get the full effect. So, Blade Runner 2049 is definitely one of the best films I've seen so far this year. Visually fantastic, compelling story and characters, interesting themes, basically everything you could ever want out of a Blade Runner film. Or even just any film. I haven't seen many examples, but I imagine it's very difficult for a film about android philosophy to maintain my attention for almost 3 hours. But I was super engaged in this. I'll give it a 9.8 out of 10. Okay, now onto the film that I've been getting non-stop requests to talk about. It. And yes, I know I'm super late to this, but hey, because of that, I got to see this on Friday the 13th. So that's worth something, I guess. So, let's cut right to it. Is it a great movie? Yes, it is. Just saying though up front, I feel like I'm probably not the best guy to talk about this, because, as most of you may know, I'm not a big horror guy. I'll only really see a horror film if it's a huge event like this one, or if it's gotten amazing reviews and it really intrigues me. But stuff like Conjuring and Insidious and all that, yeah, I'll pass. So with this, I don't think this is the most frightening horror film you'll ever see, but I did still watch quite a bit of it through the gaps between my fingers. What? I'll admit it. What I did see and hear of it though, I really liked. In terms of all the non-horror stuff, that was actually fantastic. All the child acting for nearly the entire film was spot on, especially the main kid, the Stranger Things kid, and Beverly. The other performances were good, but were just a tad over the top for my taste. The movie's also fun, it does that 80s Goonies type vibe really well. It's just a good time with these characters, even if you took out all the clowns and murder. Also, this movie does not feel at all 2 hours and 15 minutes long. Maybe that's what happens when your heart is constantly racing, but it went by much faster than I thought it would. Now, for what the main appeal of the film is, the horror. Yeah, it's plenty scary. I did appreciate that beyond the jump scares, there were just creepy scenes that are unsettling, not because of just sudden noise and visual. Although, there are a lot of jump scares in this film. Jump scares are easily my least favorite part of horror films. I much prefer, just creepy stuff that is horrifying by what it makes you think about. But I understand you can't really have a horror movie without any jump scares, and they weren't too egregious here. I do have to say though, and this is not me trying to make it look like I'm so brave and nothing scares me, because I just said how much I was scared by this, but Pennywise, in the form of the actual clown, was easily the least scary part of the film to me. Bill Skarsgård does an amazing job as the character. It's just the character itself wasn't all that scary to me. Maybe that's just because clowns don't really scare me that much. And I don't think he was necessarily supposed to be super scary at some points. But like, the Pennywise scenes were the ones where I was actually able to watch it without a hand covering my eyes. Sure, I wouldn't want to run into him on the streets, but just, he was the least frightening thing in the film to me. I thought the other forms he took, like especially for Stanley with that weird painting woman, I found that to be much creepier. And again, don't take this as me saying, oh yeah, the movie wasn't scary at all, because the clown wasn't that scary. The movie was certainly scary. I also appreciate how it didn't really hold back a lot. I mean, when it did hold back, I think it was for the better, like with the ending and how it actually ends in the book, good call. But other times, like with Georgie and Pennywise at the start, it just went all out. So overall, it is a really good horror film, and it's much more well made than some of the other run-of-the-mill horror films that come out. It's got a good story, characters you care about, and genuinely scary moments. If you love horror, this is great for you, and even if you don't, I'd say maybe give this a shot. I'll give it an 8.7 out of 10. So those were my thoughts on the new Blade Runner and It films. What did you think of these? Let me know all of your thoughts down below in the comments. While you're at it, be sure to like this video, check out my Instagram and Twitter at BHL_Hudson. Check out this podcast about movies and TV and whatnot I do every other Friday with a friend of mine. It's called the Poorly Planned Podcast. And subscribe for more videos like the one you just watched. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.